Celebrating with me today, Shali Baluch. Everyone, Fifth International Conference during 57th session of Human Women Rights Council. On behalf of BNM, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. I'm Shali Baluch, Joint Secretary of the General Chapter. Today's conference is focused on exposing right abuses and exploitation through single part collaborations in Pakistan. Today, I would like to call our first panel members, which are we are honored to have with us today Dr. Naseem Baloch, Chairman of BNM, and our speakers, John MacDonald, Member of the British House of Commons, Peter Tatchell, Human Rights Defenders and the founder of Peter Tatchell Foundation, Dr. Geneva Philippa, Academic Researcher and Humanitarian Action Specialist, Tahiba Mahmood, Ugair Rights Defender and Executive Director of Stop Ugair Genocide. We also have with us today Afras Yab Khattab, Pashtun journalist and a human rights defender, Dr. Naseem Dashti, Balochistan historian, writer, and a president of Baloch Human Rights Council, Francisco Marina, defender, Iman Mazari, who is a lawyer and a human rights defender, Dr. Nakul Hana, General Secretary of World Sindhi Congress, Jafar Mirza, researcher and PhD candidate at King's College London, and Halina, Associate with Peace for Asia, Fazlur Rahman, Head of PTM Europe Committee. In addition to our speaker, we are excited to have senior experts joining us virtually today. We have scheduled break throughout the day and we will conclude at 5 p.m. As part of today's event, we would like to call Niaz Baluch to play a documentary which will give and consent to our ongoing discussion about Balochistan. Yeah.
Welcome to a journey through the heart of Balochistan, a region marked by its rich history, diverse geography, and resilient people in a relentless struggle for justice, autonomy, and freedom.
Sorry, just give me a second.
Welcome to a journey through the heart of Balochistan, a region marked by its rich history, diverse geography, and resilient people engaged in a relentless struggle for justice, autonomy, and freedom. Over the past 2 decades, the region of Balochistan has been witnessing its 5th episode of a determined struggle for independence. This current phase stands as the largest, most intense, and uniquely distinct from its predecessors in nature. Unlike earlier episodes, which primarily consisted of guerrilla warfare within the mountainous terrain, the ongoing movement has expanded its scope to encompass diverse aspects of Baloch society and geography. It now involves active participation, not only in rural areas, but also in urban settings, incorporating surface politics, media, and a notable role played by women. However, it is important to recognize that this contemporary movement is rooted in the historical continuum of Balochistan's quest for sovereignty. A struggle initiated soon after Balochistan's sovereignty was infringed upon on March 27, 1948. On this unfortunate day, Balochistan was annexed militarily by the neonate Pakistani state, marking the beginning of a long and tumultuous journey. Situated at the eastern extremity of the Iranian plateau, is presently divided nearly equally between Pakistan's Balochistan province and Iran's sister Balochistan province. सबसे बड़ी जरूरत यह है कि पाकिस्तान की कब्जे और उसकी गुलामी से बलूच को निजात दिलाया जाए. Pakistani occupation of Balochistan. The tumultuous relationship between Balochistan and the Pakistani state has its roots in the very formation of Pakistan in 1947. 3 months before Pakistan's establishment, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, often referred to as the founder of Pakistan, engaged in negotiations for the freedom of Balochistan from British rule by acting as a hired lawyer for the Khan of Kalat, the ruler of Balochistan. The discussions around Balochistan's relationship with Pakistan became a critical issue. This led to a series of meetings involving the Viceroy, Jinnah, and the Khan of Kalat. Initially, a communique dated August 11, 1947, recognized Kalat as an independent sovereign state with distinct treaty relations with the British government. The current struggle for self-determination in Balochistan has gained momentum in recent years, fueled by a deep-rooted desire for autonomy, justice, and the recognition of the Baloch people's rights. This ongoing movement reflects the resilience and determination of the Baloch people to secure a better future for themselves and their land. The situation in Balochistan is marked by severe human rights violations that demand the attention of the international community. The systematic abuses and disregard for human rights have not only caused immense suffering for the Baloch people, but have also raised alarms about the need for urgent intervention to address these issues. Abduction, enforced disappearances, and killings. One of the most alarming aspects of the situation in Balochistan is the alarming frequency of abductions and enforced disappearances. Baloch activists, intellectuals, students, lawyers, journalists, and other individuals have been subjected to these horrific practices, often carried out by Pakistani security forces. These individuals are often taken without due process, held incommunicado, and subjected to torture. Tragically, many of the victims who have been forcibly disappeared are later found dead, their bodies bearing signs of torture. The brutal kill and dump policy has left families shattered and communities traumatized, creating an atmosphere of fear and silent fake encounters. It is an alarming and recurrent practice of the military to stage fake encounters, disguising the killings of victims of enforced disappearances as casualties in battle, with hundreds of such cases reported to date. Recently, a fake encounter was conducted by the CTD in Balochistan. 4 previously abducted Baloch youth, including Balach Mullah Baksha, were reportedly killed by Pakistani forces. This disturbing trend of extrajudicial actions must be condemned. Human rights organizations working in Balochistan reported the enforced disappearance of Mullah Bakshosh on October 29, 2023. He was abducted from his home by Pakistani forces in Turbat. The human rights organization FIAC reported the enforced disappearance of Nabi Baksh Baloch and Adil Asa, victims of the Balochistan incident, on August 2023. They were reportedly abducted by Pakistani forces on August 22, 2023, in Turbat City. On November 19, 2023, Pakistani forces perpetrated a tragic incident, killing 3 individuals, Adil, Shah Jahan, and Nabi Dad, by planting explosives in a vehicle and staging it as a terrorist act. These individuals had been forcibly disappeared while in the custody of the Pakistani army. Furthermore, Shoka, Zahir, Pirjan, and Ahmed Khan remain held by the Pakistan army. In the heart of Balochistan, a powerful movement for unity and resistance is taking shape. The Balochistan Committee has been at the forefront, organizing national gatherings to voice the people's struggle for justice, freedom, and dignity. Men and women stand side by side, united in their call for an end to decades of oppression. Their message is clear: the Baloch people will not be silenced. But on this day, their peaceful demonstration was met with brutal force. The state responded with violence, aiming to crush their voices. As security forces stormed the gathering, chaos erupted. In a shocking display of aggression, 3 lives were lost and dozens of others were left injured, victims of the state's harsh crackdown. But even in the face of death and violence, the Baloch people stood tall. Baloch women and men resisted this oppression with unwavering courage, refusing to be silenced. This is the spirit of the Baloch, resilient, unbreakable, and united in their quest for justice. The Balochistan Committee, like the Baloch people, will not be deterred by the state's oppressive tactics. As the world watches in silence, the Baloch struggle continues. Their fight for freedom, equality, and peace remains undaunted, carried by the hearts of those who believe in justice.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to hand over stage again to Manoj.
This documentary showed us how our country, how our Balochistan was taken over, how since then our people there have been struggling. It's sad to see us history full of pain. It's heartbreaking to see how the people in Balochistan are still suffering, families being torn apart, people gone missing and living in constant fear. Now I would like to go forward with our first panel of speakers, and I would like to call them on stage. Jafar Mirza, Habib Rahman, Fazal Afridi, Dr. Lakuluhana. Please come on stage.
Projector. No, the light. It's coming in. Oh, it's.
Now I would like to give the mic to Jafar Mirza, who is a PhD candidate at King's College London. His research focuses on Islam in Britain and freedom of religion and belief in Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Minat. I'm thankful to BNM for inviting me to this conference, and congratulations for organizing yet another international conference. So I am a researcher and I focus on freedom of religion and belief in Pakistan and violence against religious minorities. My PhD focuses on Islam in Britain, where I am documenting the post 1945 Shia history in Britain. I think most people in the room already know about the issues and human rights violations in Pakistan. Almost all ethnic groups are the victim of state violence and repression. Similarly, all religious minorities face discrimination and violence on a daily basis. I sometimes wonder and often fail to understand what exactly the Pakistani state wants. How can a state be so complicit that every other ethnic and religious group is persecuted and unhappy the way things are? Anyway, I don't want to focus on religious and ethnic minorities today. I just want to focus on Baloch and Balochistan. Just a bit of background, I actively started taking an interest in Balochistan human rights violations from 2013 onwards. As I vividly remember, the Balochistan issue was dealt with or seen as a peripheral issue, but it's not peripheral anymore. It has become mainstream where people across all parts of Pakistan not only know about the issue and the military's role in Balochistan, but also shows empathy with the Balochistan's cause. People here in this room and online know and are the authority on Balochistan. Therefore, my role is here is just an observer, and I will share my reflection on how in the last 10 years the Balochistan movement has emerged as one of the most powerful forces. I agree that the recent events led by different Baloch groups is an uprising consisting of multiple and diverse movements. Some would call it Baloch Spring. From non-violent human rights-based struggle to militancy, the force and strength we see in the overall Baloch struggle is unprecedented. The consciousness among Baloch and how it's translated publicly is something we haven't seen before. One of the things that made me think about why the Balochistan movement has become so powerful that it's gaining not just local but international attention. Some people would, however, say this that it's not the first time Balochs are uprising. This would be probably their fourth or fifth uprising. However, the current uprising and its impact is different from previous uprisings. Therefore, the current movement deserves a detailed attention. Since I have very limited time, I would just discuss two interconnected reasons that make the current movement different, powerful, and unique in its own way. First, the flow of information and narrative formation has become democratized now. Previously, the Pakistani state controlled and manipulated the human rights violation and the Baloch question. The state would blame external elements and Baloch tribal leaders for all the things wrong in the region. However, social media has challenged this state's grip on narrative and information control. The Pakistani army, like all of the traditional armies, has been using violence to curb the legitimate concerns of the people. However, this is not the case anymore. Physical violence does not guarantee the control over narrative anymore. The flow of information on social media has brought the Balochistan issue into the limelight. Abductions, killings, and other repressive measures are unable to hide human rights violations. And Pakistan is no exception. All modern states are no more the gatekeeper of information. For example, in the case of Palestine, where the Israeli army, much more sophisticated army, in terms of its technology, is unable to hide facts from the ground, the level of mass killings in mandated crimes. As we see, when traditional armies are unable to control narrative, they usually block the sources and medium of information such as internet. The internet coverage in Balochistan has always been limited, but in recent years, where the military is facing challenges from the mainland and all peripheries, it has limited the internet coverage across all regions. These tactics are not new, such as China and India are also examples of this communication repression. China's blockade of news in Xinjiang region or India's blockade of internet in Kashmir are all identical measures that the Pakistani army is doing. But neither China nor India nor Pakistan has been able to prevent the facts coming from these regions and human rights violations. Therefore, the impunity and monopoly over information that the Pakistani army was enjoying is challenged now. The second point I wanted to make is that the current movement involves cross-generational and cross-gender participation. which I think makes the most significant impact. I must say the involvement of young Baloch women is not something new. Baloch Student Organization has always been the party of young students. Similarly, the likes of Karima Baloch, Farzana Majid, and many others have been active since the 2000s. In fact, these women, particularly the late Shaheed Karima Baloch, are the reasons we see the involvement of young Baloch women in the current movement. When Karima was leading, there were very few women who were the public face. Karima's story and leadership inspired young women who are part of the current movement, who were teenagers when Karima was active, and they grew up seeing Karima mobilizing Baloch families. As a result, we see young women and girls who are leading and have become the face of the movement. The charisma of Mahram, Samni, and other Baloch women is so powerful that it has already inspired future generations of Baloch, both in Balochistan and the diaspora. Yesterday, I was watching a clip shared by a Baloch friend where a hardly 7 or 8 year uh, girl was making a speech in a protest in Quetta. And she was saying that she was clear about who oppresses her nation, who abducts her loved ones, and humiliates her family members. She promised that those who humiliate her nation, they will be humiliated. She was referring to the army. I don't see this level of clarity among this age group, but it's quite an often sight in Balochistan. Because the young generation has only seen and witnessed the brutal and repressive response from the Pakistani state, which politicized this young generation from the very beginning. I mentioned earlier about diaspora. If one sees the recent protests in London organized by BNM, the presence of women and young girls has significantly increased in recent months, and there is no doubt it's a Marang effect. So in a way, it's the global consciousness or uprising that has united different Baloch groups and ensured participation across gender. This is something we haven't seen it before. So coming back to the cross-generational point, the young generation, particularly Gen Z and millennials, are much more tech-savvy and as a result possess a greater awareness of narrative making and challenging the mainstream narrative. Baloch Shajati movement is a classic example of presenting and framing the Balochistan issue from a global and anti-colonial perspective. Of course, again, this is not something new in Balochistan's case. Baloch and their literature have been presenting the Balochistan issue from an anti-colonial lens. However, the way the timing the current generation utilize is something highly impressive. For example, the use of phrases such as dispossession, occupation, exploitation, climate justice, the way young generation align these terminologies with the global anti-colonial movement made the current movement a part of global discourse. Therefore, you see the likes of Greta Thunberg or other anti-colonial movements show solidarity with Baloch. And credit goes to young Baloch who aligned the Baloch struggle with the global anti-colonial movement. As a result, the human rights violation in Balochistan is not a local issue anymore. It's becoming a part of global discussion, which also reflects the movement is getting its due recognition beyond the South Asian region, which I think one of the greatest achievements the younger generation brought to the movement. So coming to the conclusion, the key question here is, where do the Baloch movement and the Pakistani Federation go from here? I think the majority of us in this room know the crisis Pakistan is in. And the commentators believe that the Pakistan's federation is on the verge of collapse. In fact, some would say the belief in the project or idea of Pakistan is now limited to Sindh and Punjab. A recent BBC News reports claims that the Balochistan is no longer in the grip of Pakistan. I'm not an expert on armed insurgencies. Therefore, I don't know how or whether the recently reinvigorated Baloch insurgency poses an essential threat to Pakistan. However, the consciousness of self-determination and doubtful future within Pakistan seems to have become more clear among Balochs. I'm not claiming that every person in Balochistan wants freedom or wants independence. I'm not in Baloch and don't live in Balochistan, therefore I leave this idea of independence to Balochistan. However, there's one thing we can say with absolute certainty that every person in Balochistan wants freedom, justice, and dignity. These things have been, all these things have been, they have been deprived of all these things for the last 70 years. Pakistan can't continue denying fundamental rights to Baloch. Suppressing Baloch voice had never worked before and will never work in the future. If anything history teaches, the state persecution makes Baloch more resilient. I would end with Urdu poetry and wanted to remind the Pakistani state who would have thought that killing Karima Baloch would silence Baloch, but they didn't know that dozens of Karima had already born in Balochistan. कि रात जब किसी खुर्शीद को शहीद करे तो सुबह एक नया सूरज तराश आती है. I can't do the literal translation, but the contextual translation is: no matter the scale of violence and oppressions, Baloch will rise every other day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yisa, for your wonderful poetry and your caring thoughts and knowledge. Now, I would like to call Habib Rahman. Habib Rahman is the exposed man of Jammu Kashmir People National Party. Is also an ultra writer and publisher. So please welcome Habib Rahman.
Thank you for having me here. Participate in this event. I'm not very good in English. Maybe I try to communicate my words in the Urdu and English. Can your house allow me for this? Yeah. There's this greatness for me. I'm standing on the people from the Balochistan who want their own homeland, which is occupied by Pakistan military. We have the similarity as we take of myself. I am from state of Jammu Kashmir, which is part of occupation under the Pakistan, which is called AJ Camp Delhi. The first attempt Pakistan existed, attack home, our land, October 22, 1947. In spite of there is the agreement between our Raja, Maharaja Hari Singh and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. There is agreement, peace agreement, standstill act. Pakistan signed that agreement, they violated that agreement, then they attack on our state, they killing our people, burn the property, and there is a lot of atrocities, murders, a lot of the things I can't go in detail. The second attack, Pakistan, Balochistan, in March 27, 1948. This true event, and very initially Pakistan, when created by Pakistan, is not the result of any people's struggle. Pakistan is the result of the divide of the subcontinent, which is done by the British government. After creation of this country, they attack first us and then second us. Forced an accident. And even you have Balochistan and Pakistan have any agreement which is maybe fake. Not, but we do not have any agreement with Pakistan. No any signatory, no anything. But Pakistan presence there, occupied Pakistan army, everything is controlled by Pakistan army. This is the factual, but nobody knows about this. थोड़ा सा उर्दू में बात करूं कि बलूचिस्तान का और हमारा एक ताल्लुक है मजलूमियत का, दुख का, गम का. हमारे ऊपर भी 1947 में 22 अक्टूबर को हमारे ऊपर अटैक किया गया, हमारी रियासत पे हमला किया गया, ख्वातीन को, बच्चों को मारा गया, कत्ल किया गया, प्रॉपर्टीज जलाई गई, लूटी, इवन अप टू श्रीनगर. और अक्टूबर 27, 1947 को महाराजा जो था हमारा कश्मीर का, उसने हिंदुस्तान के साथ एक एग्रीमेंट किया, एक्सेशन का, जो कंडीशनल था. उसके बाद इंडियन फोर्सेस वहां दाखिल हुई, देन ओवरनाइट गोज इन द यूएन, और फिर जाके वहां पीस हुई और वो कंफ्लिक्ट अभी चल रहा है. रिसेंटली जो चीजें हमारे यहाँ डेवलप हुई हैं, एकदम not going to go down history, but in short, in May 2023, there is the protest, the movement of the People Rights Movement under the People's Action Committee, Awami Action Committee, for their basic rights, utilities like this, hiking of the prices of the electricity and that. So लोगों ने प्रोटेस्ट किया उस पे, जो स्टार्ट हुआ 11 को, और 13 مئی 2024 کو مظفر آباد میں the youth people are gathered there and government Pakistan accept the demands of the people. انہوں نے مطالبات مان لیے, نوٹیفکیشن جاری کر دیا. At the same time پاکستان رینجرز وہاں پہ آئی اور پیسفل لوگوں کے اوپر گولی چلائی اور 3 نوجوانوں کو مار دیا. 3 young guys were killed by the Pakistani Rangers in Muzaffarabad, May 13, 2024. This is the occupation. And 2 days before, I received the list of the 20 people who are releasing Islam through the Little Partner. And nobody knows about those people. No any FIR, no any report, nothing. Even جو 3 لوگ 13 مئی 2024 کو مظفر آباد میں ڈے برائٹ مارے گئے, ان کو قتل کیا گیا پاکستانی رینجرز نے. Even until now, no investigated, no any report, no any FIR is there. This is the occupation, one kind of the occupation with Pakistan playing a role in our whole region, and particularly in our state, which is occupied by Pakistan. Balochistan, ہم بلوچستان کی مومنٹ کو جسٹیفائڈ, منصفانہ اور انصاف پر مبنی آزادی کی تحریک سمجھتے ہیں. ہم جب کوئی قوم اپنی آزادی کا سوال اٹھاتی ہے تو وہاں پھر اور بٹس میں نئی چیزیں لے جاتی ہیں کہ ہیومن رائٹس ابیوز ہو گیا, یہ فلاں ہو گیا, یہ فلاں ہو گیا. نہیں, جب آپ آکوپیشن کو چیلنج کرتے ہیں تو پھر آکوپائر آپ کے تمام رائٹس کو پروٹیکٹ کر دیتا ہے, ان کو وہ کر دیتا ہے. تو آج ہم جہاں بلوچستان کی آزادی کی تحریک کے ساتھ ہمارا ویسے بھی بہت گہرا تعلق ہے. میرے بے شمار دوست کامریڈس, میرے کلاس فیلو, میرے ذاتی دوست جو بلوچستان کی اس تحریک میں تھے, بے شمار کی لاشیں ملی ہیں جلی ہوئی, دوستوں نے مل کر وہ پیغام پہنچایا ہے. I visited Balochistan from Las Vegas to 1 month in 2013 میں جب زلزلہ آیا تھا. I was there. I am the first responder of Balochistan earthquake. یہ سارا میں نے مشقے سے لے کے آواران سے لے کے یہ پورا ایریا میں نے وزٹ کیا. I met the people, I met the students, I met the teachers, and the common members of laborers. So ہم بلوچستان کے پاکستان کا قبضہ سمجھتے ہیں, اور ہم یہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ اس خطے میں بسنے والی تمام قوموں کو, وہ پشتون ہوں تو سندھ کے لوگ ہوں, سندھی ہوں, یا ہماری اسٹیٹ آف جموں کشمیر, ہم سب لوگوں کو اس ایک انتہائی خونخوار ملک جو ہے جس کے دانتوں پہ صرف خون لگا ہے, جو اپنے پڑوسیوں کو, اپنے سے کمزوروں کا خون نوچتا ہے, لوٹتا ہے, پیٹتا ہے, اس سے سکون آتا ہے. یہ وہ ملک ہے پاکستان. اس کے خلاف ہماری ایک مشترکہ جدوجہد بنی. آج میں بلوچستان نیشنل موومنٹ کے دوستوں کو مبارک بھی دیتا ہوں اور خوشی کا اظہار کرتا ہوں کہ انہوں نے ایک انٹرنیشنل فورم کا انعقاد کیا جس میں ہم سارے لوگ یہ مل کے بیٹھ کے بات کر سکیں کہ یہ جو ملک ہے پاکستان, ہمیں کسی انسان سے نفرت نہیں ہے. پاکستان کے بسنے والے کسی انسان سے ہم نفرت نہیں کرتے. We love all the people, all over the world. بٹ جب ہمیں قتل کرو گے, ہمارے وسائل سے چھین لو گے, ہمیں در در کی ٹھوکریں کھانے کو مجبور کرو گے. میں ایک ویڈیو دیکھ رہا تھا جو سوئی کے قریب ہے, ایک بچہ لکڑیاں لے کے جا رہا تھا. ایک ساتھی اس سے پوچھتے یہ لکڑیاں کہاں لے کے جا رہے ہو؟ اس نے کہا گھر لے کے جانا چاہتا ہوں, شام کو اس سے روٹی پکائیں گے. اس نے کہا وہ گیس نہیں نکلتی یہاں سے. اس نے کہا وہ ہے پائپ جو پنجاب جا رہا ہے. ایک بچہ تھا 8 سال کا, اس نے ایک صحافی کو یہ دعا. دس از دا فیلنگ. وہ جو اندر انسان کی محرومی ہے. غلامی کیا چیز ہوتی ہے؟ غلامی یہی ہے کہ آپ اپنی مرضی سے سوچ نہ سکیں, اپنے وسائل کے اختیار نہ رکھ سکیں, اپنے فیصلے خود نہ کر سکیں. اس کا یہ غلامی بالکل صحیح ہمارے پاس ہے. ہم چونکہ پاکستان کے معاشرے میں ہیں, وہاں پاکستانی فوج ہمارے چار. ایون ایوری ڈسٹرکٹ جو ہمارا ڈپٹی کمشنر ہے انڈر لوکل آرمی, پاکستان آرمی آفیسرز, the work there under their instruction. آج میں یہ سمجھ رہا ہوں کہ اس موقع پہ جہاں میں دوست خواتین کو اس موقع پہ بہت سلام پیش کرتا ہوں کہ جب ان عورتوں نے دیکھا, لوج بیٹیوں نے, کہ ہماری مردوں کو مارا جا رہا ہے, ان کی لاشیں مل رہی ہیں, کسی کی مسعود شدہ لاش ہے, لاپتہ ہے 30 سال سے 25 سال سے, تو پھر ان عورتوں نے ہاتھوں پہ چوڑیاں نہیں ڈالی، پھر انہوں نے وہ زیور نہیں پہنے، ان کے سر پہ جو دوپٹہ تھا اسے انہوں نے اپنا پرچم بنا دیا اور اپنی بلوچستان کے لیے کھڑی سے باہر نکل۔ یہ ہے کسی قوم کا طاقت کے ساتھ اپنی آزادی کے سوال کو اٹھانا، اپنی زمین سے غیر مشروط محبت کرنا اور اپنے لوگوں کے ساتھ غیر مشروط وفاداری کا احساس۔ اور میں بلوچستان کی خواتین کو اس موقع پہ بہت زیادہ خراج پیش کرتا ہوں کہ انہوں نے آزاد بلوچستان کی آزادی کی تحریک میں اپنے دوپٹوں کو اپنے پرچم بنایا اور یہ پرچم ان کو آزادی سے ہمکنار کرے گا، لیکن اس کی یہ شرط ہے جو بلوچ جہاں بھی کوئی بلوچ رہتا ہے وہ پھر کھڑا ہو اپنے بلوچستان کے لیے، وہ اکیلا بھی ہو تو بلوچستان کا سوال اٹھائے۔ اسی طرح میں سندھ کے دوستوں سے بھی اپیل کروں گا، پشتون دوستوں سے بھی اپیل کروں گا کہ ہم سارے لوگ، ہم پاکستان توڑنا نہیں چاہتے، ہم اس کو مارنا نہیں چاہتے، کیونکہ ہم اپنی بقا کی جنگ لڑیں گے تو اس کے ہاتھ میں بندوق ہے، وہ ہمیں قدم پہ قتل کر they murder us, they kill us, they looted over all resources، وہ ہماری سب چیزیں ہم سے چھین رہے ہیں، ہم سے لوٹ رہے ہیں۔ تو پھر ایسی کیفیت میں ہماری مشترکہ جدوجہد بنتی ہے کہ ہم اس ظالم ریاست سے جان چھڑائیں، ہم اپنی آزاد ریاستوں کو قائم کریں اور پوری دنیا کے لیے امن کا پیغام دیں اور ان خطوں میں ہم ایک ایسا نظام حکومت تشکیل دیں جس کے ریسورسز ہمارے لوگوں کے کام آئیں، لوگوں کی زندگیوں میں خوشی آئے، خوشحالی آئے، قتل غیرت اور استحصال اور جلد رفتار سے ہم سب کو چھٹکارا ملے۔ اس کے دو راستے ہیں، ایک عوامی تحریک ہے جو بلوچستان میں چل رہی ہے، بہت بڑے پیمانے پہ عوام اس میں شریک تھی، کیونکہ میں کریمہ جس کو قتل کر دیا گیا، میری ان سے twice I met her twice in Karachi and second جب میں سمیع وغیرہ سے بھی میری ملاقات ہوئی جب اسلام آباد میں انہوں نے روز مسنگ پرسن کا کیمپ لگایا تھا، I was there، ان کے ساتھ یکجہتی کے لیے ہماری پارٹی کی طرف سے ہمارا ڈیلیگیشن پورا گیا تھا۔ مارنگ جب گئی تھی اس وقت بھی ہم ان کے ساتھ وہاں پریس کلب اسلام آباد میں جا کے ان کے ساتھ یکجہتی کیا تھا، کیونکہ ہماری پارٹی Jammu Kashmir People's National Party is the first party in the state of Jammu Kashmir to challenge Pakistan occupation 1985. And we are struggling against the Pakistan for our freedom, for our state, for our land, for our people. اس حوالے سے ہماری بلوچستان کے لوگوں کی جدوجہد مشترکہ ہے، قابض ایک ہے، ایک ہی بندوق سے آپ کو بھی مارا جا رہا ہے، ہمیں بھی مارا جا رہا ہے، آپ کو بہت زیادہ مارا جا رہا ہے، ہم اتنے نہیں مارے جا رہے، اس سے تھوڑے کم مارے جا رہے ہیں، لیکن ہم مستقبل میں مارے جائیں گے۔ ریسنٹلی جو بائیں مبارک کہ بلاسفیمی کے الزامات لگا کے ہمارے نوجوانوں کو پکڑ کے جیلوں میں بند کیا جا رہا ہے، بلاسفیمی میں پولیٹیکل جو کارکنوں نے انہیں مارا جا رہا ہے، سیڈیشن غداری کے مقدمات بنائے جا رہے ہیں، یہ ساری چیزیں ہمارے یہاں ہو رہی جو ایک سافٹ شکل میں ہیں، جنہوں نے کل وائلنس ہوئی کہ کل ہمیں اس سے زیادہ بہتر سے قتل کریں گے، جس طرح وہ آج بلوچستان کے لوگوں کو قتل کریں گے۔ تو اس مستقبل کی اس جبر و ظلم سے نکلنے کے لیے ہم سب کے پاس مشترکہ جو راستہ ہے وہ جدوجہد کا راستہ ہے، اپنے عوام پر بھروسہ کا راستہ ہے کہ کوئی تحریک عوام کے ساتھ پیار نہیں جیتی جا سکتی۔ بلوچستان کے عوام اپنی آزادی کے لیے نکل گئے ہیں، ہم ان کی حمایت کرتے ہیں اور توقع کرتے ہیں کہ جب ہم لڑیں گے اور جب ہم لڑ رہے ہیں تو ہم بھی بلوچستان کے عوام کی یہ توقع کرتے ہیں کہ وہ بھی ہماری اس بروٹل ریاست سے جان چھڑانے میں ہمارے ساتھ یکجہتی کا اظہار کریں۔
Thank you so much, Habib Rahman, for sharing your experience and word with us. Now I would like to call Fazlur Rahman Afridi, who is the president of the IRESK and the head of the PTM European Committee in International Advocacy and Foreign Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, BNM, for organizing this important conference in Geneva on the occasion of the United Nations Human Rights Council 57th session. The long struggle of brave Baloch people for their freedom and liberty has resulted in severe human rights violations, including enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, arbitrary detention, and torture. But most important of all, thousands of Baloch have been forcibly disappeared by Pakistan Army with impunity. Not a single person or institution has been held accountable for these atrocities, human rights violations, and crimes against humanity by the courts of Pakistan. On the economic front, Balochistan's rich natural and mineral resources have attracted extensive exploitation by both Pakistan and China, particularly under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. However, the local Baloch population continue to face marginalization, with basic needs like clean drinking water, healthcare, education, and infrastructure remaining scarce. Although Balochistan produces significant amount of gas, natural gas, most of the province's population does not benefit from it, reflecting a deep inequalities when compared to more developed regions like Punjab. This situation reflects a broader pattern of exploitation, deprivation, and systematic injustice that the Baloch people have long endured. Now I'll come to the Pashtun people, which I represent, because we are passing through the same situation as the Baloch people are suffering, at least for the last 20 years for the Pashtun people. Pakistan continued to exploit illegally the natural and mineral resources of the Pashtun ethnic minority. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is energy surplus province, but still suffers from hours of load shedding on daily basis. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa produced the cheapest hydel electricity of 5,700 megawatt at the cost of less than 2 Pakistani rupees. But the same electricity is resold to them at 70 rupees, and even the royalty guaranteed by the Constitution of Pakistan is not paid to the province. Pakhtunkhwa provides more than half of the oil produced in Pakistan, but the oil refineries are located in Punjab, which deprive the Pashtuns of thousands of jobs and revenue. The result of these anti-Pashtun policies have dire consequences for our social, economic, political, demographic conditions. With no industry, jobs, and perspective in our own land, more than 10 million Pashtuns are forced to migrate to other countries to earn their livelihood. Rather than giving our rights to our on our natural resources, Pakistan is involved in target and extrajudicial killings of Pashtuns. Pakistan has imposed a ban on Manzoor Ahmad Pashtun and 29 other prominent members of Pashtun Tahaffuz movement to enter Balochistan, which violates international law and the Constitution of Pakistan. The main reason for imposition of this ban on the movement of Manzoor Pashtun and other activists appears to be driven by the fear of the government of Pakistan over the planned grand jirga of Pashtuns on October 11 to open a dialogue on the gross human rights violations committed against Pashtun ethnic minority in Pakistan and devise a comprehensive strategy aimed at protecting the social, political, economic, and cultural rights of Pashtuns just like yours. The protest sit-in by the acting police officers in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa against the presence of Pakistan Army in several districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa highlights significant tensions and grievances between the local law enforcement and the military. These officers of police are accusing Pakistan Army of being involved in the target killings of police officers, sponsoring terrorism, and supporting the Taliban in the region. Police, the first line of defense against terrorism, is targeted by Pakistan Army supporting the Taliban in the region, which is exacerbating the already complex security situation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. A couple of years ago, no one could have imagined that even Pashtuns could be the victims of inhuman practice or crime of Pakistan Army. It was due to the emergence of Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, which informed the international community and institutions like United Nations through active diplomacy. The persistence of the enforced disappearances of Baloch and Pashtuns, despite interventions by the Supreme Court of Pakistan, is troubling and demand urgent attention of the United Nations. On January 1st, 2024, a three-member bench of Supreme Court of Pakistan heard the petitioners and ordered a commission of inquiry on enforced disappearances to submit a detailed report of missing persons in Pakistan. The COIED, the Commission of Inquiry on Enforced Disappearances, in reply to Supreme Court order, reported 10,078 cases of enforced disappearances in Pakistan. Out of 10,078 cases presented to the Supreme Court of Pakistan by the Commission, 3,485 cases of enforced disappearances were reported in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, as compared to 2,752 cases in Balochistan, which means that the Pashtun missing persons are the highest according to that report. As we know, missing persons in Balochistan are higher than that, but they are not documented by this commission. The so-called champions of the human rights in Pakistan, like Human Rights Commission of Pakistan and Amna Masood Janjua, chairperson of the Defense of Human Rights, Pakistan, never raised the issue of enforced disappearances of the Pashtun people in Pakistan. So it's really ironical. And we estimate that we are talking about the Enforced Disappearances Commission. But in reality, the missing persons, the Pashtun missing persons, are more than 32,000. Because during the war on terror, a lot of people were killed and there are a lot of people who are missing. The Pashtun ethnic minority is systematically oppressed by Pakistan. In the last 20 years during the so-called war on terror, Pakistan has committed gross human rights violations, including forced disappearances, extrajudicial killing, arbitrary detention, and torture. Pakistani military killed 80,000 innocent Pashtuns by using F-16 jet bombers, helicopter gunships, and heavy artillery. More than 200,000 houses, 25,000 shops, and infrastructure of former Fatah and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa completely destroyed by Pakistan Army. The Taliban fanaticism, we are still stuck between Taliban fanaticism to our west and Pakistani Punjabi militarism in the east. In this regard, we have been in contact with the different working groups of the United Nations Human Rights Council and submitted the cases of enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killing, and torture under UNHCR, Human Rights Council, special procedures. Thanks to the UN Human Rights Council working groups and special rapporteurs that they have communicated our grievances to the government of Pakistan in a very emphatic manner. And we submitted 300 cases of enforced disappearances through special procedures. Several letters have been specifically addressed to Pakistan regarding enforced disappearances of Pashtun. I think all the oppressed nations in Pakistan, like Pashtuns, Baloch, Sindhis, and Kashmiris, they need to coordinate their efforts and take the cases of enforced disappearances to the international community and important international organizations like United Nations collectively to force Pakistan to stop this crime against humanity. So we demand a Truth and Reconciliation Commission under the United Nations to investigate the human rights violation, war crimes, and crimes against humanity committed by Pakistan Army in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, and Sindh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Azulur Rahman and PD. Now I would like to call Dr. Lakuda Hana on his stage. Dr. Hana is the Secretary General of the World Sindhi Congress. He has been campaigning for the free Sindhu Desh of the case and actually be a strong supporter of the Baloch national struggle.
Thank you. Thank you very much, BNM. Thank you very much, friends. There is a saying, there's nothing permanent. The only thing that is permanent is change. The 77 years of occupation of historical nations, Baloch nation, Sindhi nation, Pashto nation, Pakistani occupied Kashmir, things have changed. In the context of Balochistan, what has changed? Baloch people started their struggle for freedom and resistance to occupation from the day one when Pakistan occupied independent Balochistan. And it is a long, long journey. It is a journey of 77 years of killing, of suffering, of occupation, of brutalities. But things cannot remain the same. If you look at the current time, Baloch struggle has become really mature and recognized, and its profile worldwide has grown. And the only credit of that goes to the sacrifice of the Baloch nation, the Baloch people. And their unwavering faith that this is our land, this is our motherland, and nobody else, only we can get it free. And it is our right. Freedom is a fundamental human right, and it's true. In recent years, the Baloch struggle has spread to the grassroots level. Look at basically, these protests and the recent protests, is something really very strange. Because in Baloch societies, which is generally considered to be conservative, there are thousands and thousands of women and led by women. This is really very, very unique. Don't underestimate this. And so what has changed in the context of Pakistan? Pakistan, to be honest, Dr. Nasir Dashti understands more, and I've learned from him. It was created honestly for a purpose of war, of conflict, of brutality, and instability for the entire region. And of course, those nations who were occupied, for them, they were considered the soft play, basically. So
But as things have changed, Pakistan, it isn't a normal country. To be honest, in political science, there are definitions. What is a country? What is multi-nation state? And all that. It is none. They denied the existence of the thousands-year-old nations and everything, and their culture, their language, their identities. And they survived on two things. Number one, because they were created for the conflicts. So to get money for the conflicts, to work as a proxy. Two, to snatch everything, the livelihood of the nations that are occupied in it. Things change, their geostrategic importance hasn't remained the same. There wasn't an economic basis as such. The country is collapsing. It's not only we say, even their intellectuals are saying that this country this is not viable. Like when the patient goes and he's in last stage of cancer, and then the doctor says, sorry, we will not be able to save them. These are the intellectuals of them. And I would like to take his name, and he's very recognized and known intellectual. He said, I cannot see, this is not Balochs or Sindhis or Pashtuns or Kashmiris are saying, these are their intellectuals. They say we cannot see Pakistan in 20 years. But probably things might be sooner than that, number one. Number two, we always used to say that Pakistan is run by military and no one else, no one else, no one else. Now that has become really more and more exposed. There's no other institution. There is, all these politicians are their collaborators wherever they are. You look at the judiciary, the parliament, the media. Pakistan has got the highest per capita intelligence network. They're trying to infiltrate everywhere. And so this has become completely exposed that it is a military mafia state. All these, you people know who run these, all these gangs and these networks for the drug traffic. It's army. I mean, all this, they run all these criminal networks. I would like to go, they run another network as well, but I would like to say that what network it is. And they are, Dr. Naseem is laughing, he understood it. So they have become, that is number one, it is a military state, but it's not only military state, it's the military mafia state. And it is a collapsing state. And really, Balochistan has shaken them. That doesn't mean that things are easy for us. Because as this brutal state is losing its grip on the power, it is becoming more brutal. It is becoming more ruthless. They don't care. We come here and talk about enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and this, and they don't mind on this. All over the world, not now. They have been carrying these genocides for centuries. These are the same people. So it is not something new, and they don't bother and they don't care about it, and they will continue. It is only our duty, no one else, to save our people. And we say, save our people, we live in a world. We live in a global system. Because if you look at even any struggle, even in the past of freedom, the nations need friends. The signs are emerging. The situation is such that because of the greed, Pakistan has fallen in a trap. Because of its structure based as such, it has fallen in a trap that, believe me, based on our understanding of history and how things have happened, this will not be able to come out of it. The question is, it will be determined by our wisdom, our strategy, that how we call, there are strategies of damage limitation, how to save more and more people who can see the day of freedom and liberation. And I have got this faith and trust more than ever before. In spite of really this all brutalities, these same things are happening in Sindh, the enforced disappearances, the extrajudicial killings, taking away everything that we have. They wish we all were dead. But we know that this night of brutality and darkness cannot prevail forever. Believe me, we will be able, Baloch, Sindhis, Pashtuns, the people of Pakistani occupied Kashmir and Balochistan will be able to see the day of freedom, dignity, and peace. And to let me work for it. This is the cause we're to live for, and this is the cause we're to die for. In this struggle, Sindhi nation stands all along with the Baloch nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Luhana, for sharing your words and support for Baloch people. This was our end of first panel, and before starting our second panel, we will take a 15 minutes refreshment break, and then we'll start the conference again. Thank you.